just looked at me. It's terrible.
Okay, so we're the live stream's up and running, so we will stand for the karakia and then we'll crack into it.
Akataka te hau i te uru, akataka te hau i te tonga, kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā tautara ki tai, e hea ke ana te atakura, e tio he huka, he hauhunga, he hei mauri ora.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll open the meeting at 4:31, today the 16th of March. So first up, we have apologies. So there are no apologies for this meeting. For that, please. Oh no, we don't need one. That one, do we? Declarations of interest. Now, there's been no declarations of interest declared, but if anything comes up during the meeting, please just let us know. Confirmation of the previous minutes. Would I get a mover for those, please? David to move, and a seconder. Ben, all in favour? Against? Carried. Fantastic. With that, we move on to item number 4, being our public forums. So we have Mark Smith here to talk us about the Staveley Street shops. Mark, if you'd like to come up and take a seat.
Again.
Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me here again. And now, sorry if I read off a piece of paper, it'll just stop me from taking a very random segue.
Right.
So again, thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the council's introduction of time restricted parking outside our block of 10 shops. The intention was to prevent the nearby student accommodation from occupying all the spaces, and broadly speaking, that's worked reasonably well so far, although ignored completely by the builders, but they've pretty much gone now. We're a couple of months into the arrangements. The students moved in about 3 weeks ago, and they're mainly parking on the unrestricted pieces of the road as was intended. Having a few little issues, because we have 20 dustbins going out on a Thursday and students parking on the road, they're blocking the refuse collectors from being able to collect the bins. We are trying to liaise with the students, but it's a bit difficult. There's still the occasional breaches where we need to contact the council for enforcement. The wardens do attend reasonably promptly the same day, and the system does work, although often later in the afternoon, and the disruption to the businesses has unfortunately already occurred. One possible improvement might be adding these parking spaces onto the list of locations where wardens attend routinely as part of their daily patrols. Even a short period of consistent enforcement would likely establish the intended parking behaviour. Perhaps it might train them not to park there. The second matter I wanted to raise relates to the disabled parking space that was discussed at the last meeting. My understanding was that there was an agreement in principle for a possible installation of a disabled parking space in those row of angled parking. Recently, I've been told that this may now be considered as part of the 12-month parking review, and I'm just seeking to clarify if that's the case or not. Obviously, the reason I bring this up, it's about accessibility and pedestrian safety. It isn't about the commercial viability of my business. It's purely a health and safety thing, as we've got people with walkers and wheelchairs walking into the road round the backs of parked cars, trying to get to the drop curb, which is on the either end of the parking restricted areas, and it's just a wee bit dangerous. The group of 10 shops has been part of this area since the 1960s, and even modest improvements in this area would make a notable difference. There were some previous discussions mentioned with Karen earlier about the area, the possibility of adding some container plantings to soften the streetscape, and possibly relocating a bike rack that sits completely unused on the main road, whereas it might be better relocated to in front of the shops, the cafe next door, the Filipino grocery store. Their customers would probably use it an awful lot more if it was nearer their stores. My customers probably not so much. And certainly as a group of shops, some of us would definitely be willing to contribute towards some of the gentle improvements in the area with planters and things like that. And finally, I'll get out your hair very shortly, just a few small matters relating to the recent construction work. The grassed area outside of the shops was dug up for some pipe work, and as yet the land hasn't been restored to its original standard. There's still some work to go there. And there's still quite a lot of building materials sitting on the main footpath at the front of the shops, which is blocking pedestrian access. And as part of that, the workmen have removed one of the parking restriction signs, and that's now laying in amongst all the building material, and it really needs to be reinstated. I personally don't want to touch that because I don't want to get into trouble. So just basically to summarise, I was just hoping the board might clarify whether the accessible parking space can proceed as originally discussed, and that these other small matters could be looked into. And I thank you very much for your time, and I'm sorry if I've rambled.
Sure, no, that's great, thank you. Aidan's taken a few notes here, so we see what we can do to action some of those.
Did request advice from staff on mobility.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that bit in a second, mate. Just on all the other little bits and pieces there around the remediation and some of those other ones, but questions from anyone on that one around the disabled parking? Does anyone have anything? No?
Need it to come back when it's.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll make sure we have some clear advice on what that looks like and just come back to you on the disabled parking and then what we can do there.
Because I've talked to the parking engineer, and he thought it was a 12-month timescale, whereas I was under the impression at the last meeting it was soon.
Yeah, I don't think it was 12, so we've got to just clarify.
Yeah,
I think we would have put that, or we put that in the decision at the time when we wrote it up, so we might be able to just confirm that one and just see what we can do. Just to
moving that bike rack actually makes logical sense.
Yeah,
it's in a ridiculous spot.
It doesn't get used. I've watched it to check. It just doesn't get used.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who use the wee little sort of Hong Kong cafe next door to me come on bicycles, and they just leave them out on the grass, and one day they're going to walk off.
Yeah, you know, hopefully that stuff doesn't need to come to the board. It can just be done.
Yeah,
I would have thought someone to do that.
So
Sorry, one quick question. You mentioned before that some of the shops would be interested in chipping in to make for some planters or something like that.
Yeah, the area looks just a wee bit sad. It's been like that since the 1960s, and nothing's changed. And could we get some lightweight planters that wouldn't necessarily be concrete and fixed, but just something that didn't cost a fortune, just to brighten the place up a bit and make it more of an attractive precinct?
I think what would be helpful maybe is to get a bit of a understanding as to how much this, each shop would be prepared to contribute, and then that can help.
Either that, or I mean, I agree, but also like, could we talk to the main shed or something and get some planter boxes and just like fund them?
Yeah, I think main issue with the plant boxes is the maintenance of them. They need watering constantly and that kind of thing. So it probably, we could look at the men's shed and getting some boxes, but it would be maybe the shops adopt one and they're responsible for the watering and all that kind of stuff. So
got me on your case now for the next 16 years while I'm going to be a tenant in that area, and I'm very keen to see the area succeed and look nice.
Yeah, so
Might be a good way to.
Aaron,
Yeah, so just on the contributing thing, had you considered just doing the planter boxes yourselves and just, because we don't have planter box police going around getting rid of them yet, but if you just went and did them.
And I hear what you're saying. I really hear what you're saying. And you can't just do things sometimes. I just don't want to put all that effort into making them, because I'm quite a good woodworker.
Right.
To find that they get taken away.
it's the right thing to say on a live stream, so
That's why I was asking the question.
all right. Okay, we'll wrap the questions up there. Thank you very much for coming in, and we'll
Thanks for your time very much.
see how quickly we can turn around some of those small ones for you, and then we'll also get back to on on the disabled parking.
All right, have a great one.
Thanks for coming in.
Nice, Nick. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Cheers. Thanks, Darren.
Right, with that, we move on to item number 5, being deputations by appointments, of which there are none. And then the presentation of petitions, of which there are none. Then we move on to item number 7, being correspondence. Is there any? No.
Just move to receive the correspondence.
Yes, it's kind of cut off over here. Yeah, cool. We just move to receive the correspondence, please. Can I get a mover for that? Nicola and Aaron to second. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Then with that, we move on to staff reports, the first of which is Jelly Park Rec and Sports Centre storeroom. So we have Peter McGibbon here to talk to us about that one today. Hi. Floor is yours.
So hopefully you're all aware that we've got a rather large project coming up at Jelly Park, construction starting next month. As part of the scoping process we went through there, it was identified in the staff that that we're spending a lot of time in not necessarily the safest of ways, just transferring chemicals from the storage that we've got to the to the indoor plant room that services all the indoor pools. So the solution for that, preferred solution, is to put another small plant room over by the indoor plant room. In the Jelly Park management plan, the key diagram is probably figure 1 in the report, which shows the diagram out of the management plan with the Jelly Park split up into zones. Sort of in the top right of where the main building is, you can see there's sort of the location of where we're wanting to put the plant room, but it actually sits sort of on the border of the space for the buildings, but it's actually in the access and parking zone of the park. So as it's over that side of the line, the parks planners saw it as a minor non-compliance with the management plan, and hence we're requesting that the community board approve the construction of it in that location as a minor non-compliance.
Any second?
Right. Did anyone have any specific questions on that, or is it straightforward? Straightforward. Yep. Aaron to move and David to second.
Stephen in
Favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in. Right, next up is item number 9, being the discretionary response fund applications. So Lisa and Natalie.
I could probably go first because I'm not free. And just nice to say that there are 3 brand new groups who have applied to us this time around. So that's really good to see. With Barra, that's their first time they've applied, in Hartford, and the Wildlife Hospital Trust. So they're all brand new applicants. So we just got to get them used to the system and how it all works. And yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions on those specifically?
Oh, not on, no. Probably more holistically on the fund, but.
I've got just a question about the Wildlife Community Trust. It's great to see that that's there, and I thought their presentation was great. Do we get any feedback on what we would like them to report on in terms of their impact? Not specifically about this funding, but maybe like in general. Do we? Because one of the questions I asked was around like the birds that they look after, and what area do they come from? And I should have been more specific. I was more interested in like how many birds are looked after from our ward area. Like, can we request that kind of information?
Absolutely.
Like, just is it?
I'm just curious, how do you know where the
I don't know
Where it was picked up from.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's the pickup point.
Good point. Because that way there we're able to know, I don't know, like whether the core part of their
It's managed to walk into.
coming back to impacting the area that we.
Well, what they've actually applied for is their volunteers. And so their volunteers actually do come from our area.
Yes,
So,
which is awesome.
so that's what we're looking at there, because it's, yeah, pretty hard to indicate, you know, where somebody's been out, picked up a bird and taken it back and that sort of thing, but I'm sure they do have stats and all that sort of thing, and certainly we can get that, and they'll have an annual report and things like that.
Yeah, that's
So we
awesome.
can share that, yeah.
If they keep that information
Yes.
up to date and send us that, that's great.
Yeah, no problem.
Lisa,
No, I take the report as read. Is there any questions on this one?
That's good.
I've got amendments, but which you'd be surprised
To
about.
cut them, Sam.
Hey, just the one I wanted to understand was more holistically on the fund. So if we've got 78,000 left after this, what are the plans to, like, is it going to be used up this year, or are we going to likely roll forward?
We're aiming to use it up
Yeah.
this year, just uncertainty of carry forward
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah. Do we think we will be like in the next 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, there's a few things that are kind of in the wind.
I mean, the nature of the fund is that it's for unforeseen things and that type of thing, but we're working with a few groups who've got things that are in the pipelines that say, oh, this could be an issue, that could be an issue, this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so part of the process we do is we look at, how much we've got left, how much time we've got left, and if there is a fact that we have to change it, there are also applications that may have come to strengthening communities that may be able to then come from to discretionary response, so.
It's probably just, that whole idea of not, if we can avoid carrying it forward, it makes it a lot easier to keep getting.
We can always spend all the money you give us.
Yeah. That's not the goal.
I have no
It's not the
problem.
goal. It's supporting the
We're not
community.
there, Paul.
I'm usually quite tight, but if you want us to spend it,
Well, I think on that vein, then I'll move an amendment to spend a bit more money. Can we just make that $4,000 for the bowling club, please? To number 4.
does anyone have any other amendments they want to propose?
Then I'm happy to move the lot.
So move and second the amendment. Do we need to log approval of the amendment, or do we just make the amendment and vote on the whole lot?
Because there wasn't a motion on the table.
Yeah.
we can just-
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's still standing.
Okay, great. All right. So we'll just note that amendment, and then we can note that
We're approving all of it.
Sam and Ben, mover and seconder on that. Right, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thanks very much, team, for all your work on that one. With that, we move on to item number 10, being the Community Board Area Report. Marianne.
Thank you. I'll take the report as read. Just a couple of things to highlight. You'll see that attached to the report is the summary back from the groups that got funding in the 25, 26, 24, 25 round. And there's actually some really, if you do get a chance to have a good read through it, there's some really good stuff there around some of the outcomes that your funding has actually achieved in the local community. I've done them every year, and I think this is probably one of the best years in terms of what the groups have provided back. And that may be part of our new funding system and the questions that we ask them in a slightly different way. I've just felt going through it that I'm seeing a lot more detail and a better kind of report back from the groups on what they've done with the funding. And the other thing to mention is the board plan. So consultation on our board plan priorities closed yesterday. We had 28 submissions. We had over 300 people actually go online and look at it. I think 28 submissions is actually really good, and they're really good submissions. People have put a lot of thought into it. So I'm just working on getting that all pulled together in a format that's easy for you to have a good look at, and I'll send that out to you tomorrow. And then we'll have some further discussions on whether there's anything that you want to change as a result of that feedback. But pleased to say about 99% of the comments are all very supportive of your board plan priorities. And the one that wasn't was just a slight tweak. So there's nothing there where people are saying it's rubbish, which is always nice. So any questions?
So just one, like that's great and really good feedback from local community, and good that the submissions are actually quite detailed and stuff. So can you just talk us through what happens next? So
Yep,
we'll
so-
agree on the priorities and then.
So I will send out the submissions to you, ask for your feedback, whether anything jumps out at you from that you think is worthy of a change in your priorities. Personally, there was nothing that I could see that would make you want to change any of your priorities. That might be just a tweak to some of the wording. And I'll supply some kind of staff comment on some of the ones where people have suggested other priorities, because there were a few suggestions, but they're actually things we're working on anyway. And then if you're all happy with it, I think we'll probably be ready to get it on the agenda for our April meeting for adoption.
And then will the actions come after that, or like the sort of plan on each priority?
So then what I'll do with my team is we'll sit down and assign those priorities to certain staff members, and we'll start working on them. And there's things like with Natalie and Bridget that are already underway with the Mirabelle traffic thing to get that cranked up. And there'll be a staff member that will be kind of responsible for pushing forward each of those priorities with you. And there'll be some like the Yoldhurst Whittles, which is actually around the board working with the local MP and NZTA to actually do that kind of work, so that we can facilitate setting those things up. Then we'll get a reporting system in place and start monitoring.
That's awesome.
So then once we've got those and then you start doing the scoping on those, Marianne, will that be then if there is funding required for those, if they're not already funded, then we have to go into the LTP process?
Yeah, so there's not too many of your priorities that are going to require a request to council for LTP funding. There's a couple. There's things like the Elmwood Park playground that if you decide to go ahead with wanting to bring that forward, we may have to have a discussion with you guys around what ones do we push back to bring that one forward, those kind of discussions. So
how would the Belfast Road priority and the Harewood Ward, would that be something that would need to be funded, or would that kind of fit within a maintenance budget and then just be a prioritisation exercise at council level? How would something like that work?
So what we'll do with that one is, I think once you've agreed that you want that and that gets adopted as part of the plan, we'll have a briefing, I think, with staff.
Yep.
And that will be before you do any LTP submissions, so that you know what it is exactly is required and you might need to ask for.
That's cool. It's probably really good we're getting onto them early, because council on Thursday signed off its letter of expectation to the chief executive, and it was really clear that community boards have to have early involvement, because we say it but we never actually do it. So if we've got our priorities lined up, that should make a way more chance of getting some success. So we must be pretty well ahead of the others.
Yeah, I think some boards have done it slightly different. So the way that we've done it has meant that I think we are a little bit ahead of the game, but they'll all be adopted and signed off by the May meetings anyway, but we'll be likely to have ours ready by April.
Cool.
Which is useful if there's anything for the annual plan as well that we know.
Exactly. Yeah, the sooner the better. That's awesome.
Okay. Great. Could I get a mover for the area report, please? Sam and Bridget second. All in favour? Against? Carried. Fantastic. That we move on to elected members information exchange.
Just to report back on our fantastic Kia Ora Burnside event that we had on Tuesday after the rain postponement day on Monday, which was would have been pretty awful really, wouldn't it? But it was absolutely fantastic, and I want to say a huge thank you to Karen and Lisa and Natalie and everyone that was there. And it was fantastic. So I thought it was a really good event for our first time, and there were so many people that members that came that said they thoroughly enjoyed it, and we hope that we do it again. Loved it, and I had a lot of people say they wished they'd come, but who had really good feedback about it. That the hamburgers were really good, but yeah, it was fantastic. And I have to say the Pedal Mania was probably one of my favourite events with Bridget, so it was really good. But thanks everyone. Honestly, we couldn't have done it without you, and it was great to see have the support of the community, so thanks.
So Kāinga Ora were there, they cooked the free
burgers.
So the
Yeah.
queue was massive.
Yeah, I mean, there was,
Smelled great.
it was great, there's such a variety of food, with dumplings, burgers, ice cream, what, can't go wrong with that, can you? Fantastic.
Just on that, yeah, the event was great. I just wanted to see if we could find out who were the students. We could get the names of the students who helped out at the event. I would love if the board could send, if we can, send like just them a personal thank you, because I think it's pretty special to see some young students getting involved, like high school students, and they were so polite and so, I don't know, I was really impressed, and I think that's pretty cool.
Riccarton High School students, weren't they? So, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, if we could just do some sort of like,
These are from the board.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Easy.
I think you'd get them involved again.
They loved it.
Yeah.
Got them on the database.
Any updates from anyone else? I had a resident reach out, I think it might have been a few months ago, had a completely different independent resident reach out around pedestrian safety crossing Sawyers Arms Road and Highstead Road for kids on the way to Cotswold School in the mornings. I actually just hadn't, essentially staff said that because they have the pedestrian refuges on a lot of those roundabouts, but if there's high volumes of traffic, they're actually still not particularly safe when people are trying to get past because people don't stop and visibility isn't that good and all those types of things. I had a second resident reach out to me with exactly the same thing, completely independently, just last week. So have raised that again and just we'll see what we can do from a safety perspective around there, because I think, you're starting to get a little bit of signal when you're having multiple residents who don't know each other reach out saying the exact same thing regarding children and pedestrian safety on a pedestrian crossing. So I think that's something we probably need to have a little bit of a look at. So I've raised that with the team. I think we've managed to get another bin for Sheldon Park after the loss of one of the ones we paid for at Bishopsdale Park, which is good. So that's handy, been pushing for that for a while. And we've increased the
To the bottom of why?
it's pizza boxes. Pizza boxes are the bane of big belly bins. So if you have parks close to pizza places and people are buying pizza and eating them in the park and then jamming them in there, it completely screws up the big belly bin. So it causes a lot of issues. I've seen it a couple of times. And then we're increasing the maintenance schedule at Bishopdale Park so that on Sundays it doesn't look like Armageddon down there with all the rubbish spewing out all around the bin. So it's a positively couple of outcomes. So if nothing from anyone else on that front in the elected members exchange, then can I get a mover for that, please? Oh, no, we don't want that one. Jeez. Recovering, all good. Right, we will stand and put the cut of care and then we will close the meeting.
Unuhia, ki te uru tapu nui, kia wātea, kia maha, te nāko, te tinana, te wairua, I te ara takata, ko ia rā e rongo, whakakairea ake ki runga, kia tina, hui e tai kia.
Very much. And with that, we close the meeting at 4:58 PM. Right, and then if everyone just wants to hang around, we will move into our information session. If anyone needs to grab a drink or go to the bathroom, maybe just have a couple of minutes.